right. Welcome back to another episode of the EROS Podcast, where we teach you how to build a digital marketing agency that scales up to, I guess we'll call it 100K, since that seems to be the mark, without pulling your hair out, actually looking at KPIs that matter, without stress and chaos, without feeling like you're trapped. AKA, let's build our digital marketing agencies the right way, with purpose and intentionality. Today's episode, we're going to cover the $100,000 triangle trap, why most agencies crash, and how to build one that actually lasts. Figure out how to operate our slide deck. Here we go. All right. So there's a video that's floating around right now. Pretty popular big video. It's a big guru. We're going to call the guy JK because everything that he has to say, typo there in my slide deck, is a fucking joke. Everything that he said, I cracked up laughing watching this fucking video. And he's dropping what he calls the secret to $100,000 months using this magic triangle. I'm sure you've seen videos like this before. The triangle promises that you can scale incredibly quickly if you spend $1,000 a day on ads, you charge more for your services, and you take 5 sales calls a day. You can be at $100,000 a month too. It's just that simple, folks. Didn't you know? And boom, $100,000 a month unlocked. Sounds super slick. Almost sounds like the Illuminati cheat code, right? Going back to the triangle reference. Just kidding. Or am I? But there's one massive problem here. This is the one question nobody asks. What happens after you collect the money? Terrific. We achieved the goal. They're correct. They did give you a formula that will get you to $100,000 a month. But is that actually what you want? Or is this so much like losing weight and you're stepping on the scale and you're measuring your weight every day? And yes, the number on the scale is going down, but do you actually look the way you want to in the mirror? Again, what happens after you collect the money? No one ever talks about this part, and he conveniently swept this part of the conversation completely under the rug and acts as if this is the fucking easy part. What the fuck? Are you kidding me? His quote literally was, just partner for someone or with someone for that part. Perfect solution. Don't you know? You just partner with someone. Let's make it their problem, not yours. That totally makes sense. Very rational, reasonable business logic, right? So again, just to recap what he told you inside of this video, spend big on ads, spend a lot of money on ads, and you'll be successful. You want to have velocity within how much you're spending on ads. You have to be spending $1,000 a day on ads to achieve the desired outcome of $100,000 a month. You can't get there unless you're spending that much on ads. Conveniently, I don't know about you, I don't want to spend $1,000 a day on ads necessarily, depending on what our desired outcome is. And you may not have the available funds to do that. And so this becomes a barrier to entry. This whole scenario or situation was completely fabricated. He touts that he's built these different companies and got them all to these various numbers, 500, 800, whatever, 1,000 at a month. And the formula for that, again, is spend big on ads. And you want to charge big, aka you want to collect a lot of the money. You want to collect a lot more for your service. And so this is the only touch point you really had on fulfillment, which was that you want to solve more problems for more people. What he doesn't go into is the more things your company solves, the more services that you offer creates additional variables on the back end of things and problems and challenges that you have to overcome with having appropriate teams and stuff in place, actually fulfill on these things. And then the last thing is sell fast. You want to sell fast, and he paired that up with you want to collect multiple months up front, which will inflate your ability to get to $100,000 months quickly. Because if you're charging $1,000 a month for a service, you charge for 10 of those, that's 10 grand a month. But if you charge for 10 months up front, you can hit a $100,000 a month. Leaving, of course, the liability of all the work that you still have to get done and achieve for the person that you promised that to on the end. Again, it's all the usual hype, shiny graphics, fancy screenshots, sales montages, and touting of building these businesses that, to my knowledge, most of which are no longer still running. My agency's been around for 9 years. Don't know if there's anything to that, but I'll leave you with that thought. Again, I've been in the game long enough to know that the real problem shows up after the Stripe notifications and the ability to take screenshots of your $100,000 months. See, what they don't tell you is that when you close a $100,000 month, you've also just closed $100,000 worth of liability. This is everything that comes after the collection of the dollars, and whether you get to keep the dollars and how you keep the dollars, whether it's done in a manner that's, let's just put it this way. It's one thing that you wrote up a contract that you get to keep the $100,000. In technicality, you get to collect the $100,000, but would those customers buy from you again? If you're not selling things in such a manner that your customers thank you for letting them buy from you, and then ask what else you have to sell, you're doing it fucking wrong. Chances are selling in this manner typically results in people being unwilling to do business with you again. No repeat. And this is just goes into the short-sightedness of this theory of their triangle and how this is going to make you successful somehow. You're artificially jumping to a number, again, just like in the weight loss scenario. Hey, I can fluctuate my weight by about 15 pounds. I can cut out all the water weight. It doesn't mean I'm actually any leaner. I'm just dehydrated. Is this actually the desired outcome? And is it going to stick and stay? Am I going to stay that lean? The answer is no. When you go rehydrate, it all comes back and you haven't actually gotten rid of the desired body fat that's still sticking around. All right, back to the slides here. Because now you owe every single client the results that you promised. And if you're like most agencies following this stupid triangle logic, your team's probably already fairly stretched thin. And if you're selling at a velocity like that, you may continue to stretch them even thinner. You may have systems that are half-baked and unprepared to actually fulfill in the way that you've promised. This is something else that I didn't put in here, but is worth talking about. Sales is not fucking hard whenever you can make the deal, quote unquote, fit whatever is going to make the customer say yes. Selling what you actually can fulfill on with proper expectations on both ends and with a customer that you know is going to partner with you and do their part in that scenario is crucial to the success. Even with the best systems and the best ability to fulfill, if you chose the wrong customer, you're going to end up in a dire situation. These two other problems tend to lead to the next problem, which is you hire cheap and you're desperate for help. Again, you've just created all this liability now, collecting those dollars. And so now you need to hire to get the work done. You're going to be pushing yourself to hire quickly, which may mean that you're hiring the wrong people that are not skilled enough. And if you're at all worried, which you maybe should be, about that liability and the fact that you may have to return some of those funds, this can force you into a state of mind where you're operating from a place of scarcity and you're hiring the cheapest people to perform the work, which further increases the likelihood of the work not being good and chances of churn, frustrated clients, burn your reputation to the ground. Or you do all of that, and to make sure that you don't burn your reputation to the ground, this is where I went. You try to duct tape everything together yourself. You run yourself ragged. You stay up till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And when you run this system long enough, what happens next? Refunds, churn, burnout. And in my opinion, that's not a fucking win. That's a slow motion train wreck that's destined to fucking kill you. They tell you, track your revenue, your sales volume, and call count. Those are the 3 metrics that matter. But these are vanity KPIs, and they make you feel productive and super excited and supercharged as you get that close. I know the high when you swipe the card. Hey, there's a high whenever you got someone to say yes to your product and you're collecting dollars and you see the amount of money that transacted into your bank account. That's exciting. Makes you feel super productive and like you're growing. But is this actually going to allow you to grow a sustainable agency? That's the question I want you to hold in your mind. And stick with me to the end. I'm going to give you some solutions out of these. Here's what's happening behind the scenes. As stated previously, you're hiring out of fear. You're lowballing your team, which does not incentivize them to actually get the desired result. And self-fulfilling prophecy, you actually create the chaos and you mislabel it as momentum. Worst of all, you create a culture where your team is drowning, your clients are pissed, and I know all this because I've fucking lived it. I've been in a partnership just like this where I was that go partner with someone. I was the partner. And I got saddled with this person that wanted to sell. He was actually following this exact guru's prescribed frameworks, his exact prescribed frameworks. Sell. And on the back end, I'm moving as quickly as I can, but every deal is a little bit different. I'm trying to hire, I'm trying to build systems and processes. I can't keep up with the fulfillment. I'm making the hires. I lost a lot of sleep. I got addicted and nearly lost everything. This is why I ended up walking. And I didn't put this in the slide deck, but I want you to consider, if you're doing all this selling, you had a fulfillment partner, you burn them out, and they decide to walk, the liability still falls back on you. And just like him, you're going to start sweating bullets. And now it's your sleepless nights, not the person you saddled with all this fulfillment. And look, if you don't fix this, you're going to end up like I did. Out, drinking too much, abusing alcohol, drugs, or possibly much worse, and wondering why the fuck you started all of this, why you started your agency in the first place, and if it's worth it anymore. The dream was freedom. That's how I got started. Presumably that's where you started. Here's the hard questions to ask yourself. If you're following this model, this triangle, where it's all about sales velocity, marketing velocity, and how much you're charging, and your ability to charge a lot up front to quote unquote solve more problems, which again, every variable added creates an additional level of complexity to actually fulfilling. Could you pause your ads tomorrow and still grow? My agency could comfortably pause our ads for the next year, and we would still continue to grow our monthly revenue. Our team would get paid. Our customers would be happy. We would continue to collect referrals and still grow. I don't have to run any ads at this point at all, and we're still happily growing. We're not going to grow at the same rate we will with ads, so we happily use ads, but we strategically turn them on and off when it suits us. After we've done the appropriate hiring, we've made sure we have the appropriate capacity so that at no point are we stressed out or concerned. If you can't pause ads and you're worried that your company is going to go backwards if you don't continue to sell, you may have a problem. Could take a few weeks or months without fearing could you take a few weeks or months off without fearing the whole thing collapses? If you're hiring in the manner that I just said, these people have to be micromanaged, and a lot of times you have to come back behind and still clean up their work, or someone does. Someone is going to get that stress or strain. If you're not paying these people appropriately, if you're not incentivizing them properly, if you've not instilled the correct culture, which comes with this hiring with confidence and knowing that your clients are going to stick, this next bullet point, you're destined to be trapped inside the business. You can't take a week, a month, whatever off with confidence that things aren't collapsing on the back end. You may drop everything and walk away, but what is the fire, the chaos that you're going to walk back into? When I left for 10X a couple weeks ago, I had zero fears or concerns. My team had everything covered. I came back, didn't miss a beat. And I can do that for weeks at a time if need be. I actually love working. I love my agency. I'm very passionate about what we do. And yet I could, if I wanted to, take several weeks off without fear of the whole thing burning to the ground because I've properly hired, incentivized these people, which again is in this next point where when you have sustainable growth in this manner, where you can turn your ads off and you have people that are running things consistently, this means that you then have profits that are sitting in your bank account available to you to make your next hiring decision. And so you properly judge capacity. Again, this is all about the wrong KPIs. You need the right KPIs to help you steer and grow your company. We measure and track the KPI of how much bandwidth each team member has on each structured section of our team. We have paid ads, we have website design, we have a content team, we have an SEO team, and we keep track and measure how much capacity each one of these people has. And as we start bumping the upper end, we get outside of the scope of 80% of their capacity, we start looking at the opportunity to hire a new person and bring them in and train them. We give them plenty of time to do so. When you're trying to sell at this ridiculous velocity that is prescribed in the side of the triangle, you end up hiring too fast. People don't get the training they need fast enough. And this sets them up to fail, ultimately, at being successful at their job. Unless they're coming in ready to roll and you know that you're not paying them enough to be coming in qualified, you're likely to end up in a shit situation. So can you hire with confidence knowing that your clients will stick and that revenue will be there? This gives you the place of hiring from a place of abundance, knowing that you can actually hire someone, pay them a lot to get the desired skill set so that you get better results, quality of work, which ensures the retention of your customers. If any of these answers are no, your problem is not leads and it's not more sales. It is fundamentally alignment. Alignment from operating from a place of abundance. Your foundation isn't built for freedom. It's built for absolute chaos. I promised you an opportunity to shift. This is our shift. This is what we named our shift. Call it EROS, which is the Elite Results Operating System Flywheel. So here's the shift I made. This is not just another sales tactic or a copy paste SOP pack. I want to be very clear on that. This was thought through from a perspective of I'm tired of feeling like I'm dependent, looking for external answers, and I want to put myself in a position where we can properly solve these problems ourselves. I want to become self-sufficient. I want to have metrics and KPIs that I track and focus on that if we do those correctly, the revenue takes care of itself. It's a byproduct. Back to the diet example or analogy. If I eat the appropriate macros and I track my calories and I exercise this way for this long, etc., and I track those components, the weight takes care of itself. I'm not worried about the weight because all the other metrics help align me to end up at the desired end result of a goal weight, but also changes the physical outcome. How do I look in the mirror? Did I achieve the actual result? In this case, this is freedom. This is freedom. This is more wealth and abundance in our life. This is purpose and intention. That's what we're trying to build with the EROS, Elite Results Operating System framework. Again, this is not a copy and paste SOP pack. This is not something that I could just hand you and you plug and play in your company. It's a tool set that I teach you how to use to build to fit you, custom tailored. Also, this is a human-centric performance-based operating system. Here's the things we're focused on. Client fit. If we have a client fit score so that we understand if we're taking on the appropriate client, this means that we can appropriately leverage our time, our systems, our tools, our people to maximize our profitability with each customer. When you take on the wrong customer, we've figured out that for every wrong fit customer we take on that wants things that they shouldn't, that has improper expectations, etc., while we can get them to swipe the card and there's the instant gratification of charging $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month for that given client, the trade-off usually is our bandwidth becomes constrained by them and they take up as much energy as it takes to operate with 2 to 3 additional customers that are perfectly aligned. So our client fit score is important. We actually turn more people away than we allow in. We have a very hard filtered system to ensure we're saying no to customers that are not going to be our ideal fit. Again, I'm looking for alignment, fulfillment, and capacity. Again, within our tool set, we use a system called Kraig. This gives us power to see our fulfillment capacity at any given moment and know exactly where our teams are at, what their bandwidth and capacity is, so that we can predict when we need to have additional capacity, and we can appropriately hire and give enough time, typically between 3 and 6 months of lead time, to get that person caught up and ready to roll before we need their additional capacity to help us with our sales velocity. Then we have retention power. In this video, this guy literally swept under the rug or made light of account management as being one of the lowest liability roles inside of a company. In my opinion, it's the highest liability role inside the company. This is not ethical at all. This is not what our company does in any way, shape, or form. But I want to be clear that the way we've trained our account managers to maintain a position of authority, to always present solutions, the way we communicate, we could literally do no work for 3 to 6 months and still retain customers, typically longer than on most agencies, because of the power the account manager has to have a foundational relationship where that customer trusts us. They understand what we're working on. And even when we have months that don't go our way, they trust that we're creating solutions to fix those problems. That's what they're ultimately paying for. That's where the value comes in. Retention is everything. We don't get customers and lose them after a few months. When we have the right fit, we have the proper capacity, we have an amazing result. And through the systems we have with our account management team, we are able to retain customers for years, not months. I have customers that have been with me for 7 or 8 years now. They continue to pay us, and they actually have brought us additional businesses that they've opened over those years. Again, if you're selling correctly, your customer thanks you for letting them work with you and then ask what else they can buy from you. This is the power of this retention framework that we built. Again, this is easily transferable. These are skill sets that can be taught. If you're building an account management team, I think that team is way more important than your sales team. Now, sales team can be super important. You need to make sure they have clarity on who they're selling and proper incentivization. Probably at some point in the near future, I'll do an episode where we talk about how we've created our sales team incentive, because if you incentivize strictly off commissions, this inspires them to sell to the wrong people. If you inspire them through a salary, well, they become lazy and they don't sell enough of the clients that you need. And so there's a kind of best of both worlds approach that you can take, where your salespeople are ensuring that there's proper fit because of the way they get to share in the upside of the retention of the customer. And so they're properly motivated to sell everybody that should be sold, to actually do the follow-up and whatever. Sales can be brutal and hard. You want to properly incentivize those people. And if we're not getting the right clients, it doesn't matter what happens past there. No dice, no luck. If you're constantly taking on projects that your team doesn't understand, with people that are causing trouble and in general are not a good fit for your agency, nothing else is going to matter. So I'm not saying that salespeople are not important, but arguably the retention, the account management team can be more important, because once the sale is done, they're the people that keep them paying month after month after month, year after year, and are part of the relationship that allows them to come and actually purchase more of your services. Upselling to another service. All the time we get asked about social media marketing. I've not built out a team for social media marketing, but we could literally probably double our company if I just built a team for that. At this point, I've not had a desire to do so, to add additional complexities to my team, but we could instantaneously go pick up additional business and double our company just by building that team out, because we're trusted by the people that work with us. Profit momentum. Again, we want to have steady, predictable growth, not these short bursts of increased revenue where we then have to figure out what we're actually going to get to keep and hire additional people too quickly, etc. We want steady, predictable growth. And again, we want to be able to turn our ads off and still grow. That steady, predictable growth gives us a platform by which to make all of our decisions from a place of abundance instead of one of scarcity, where we're flailing around, we're making decisions that don't make sense. We're hiring the wrong people, we're taking on customers that we shouldn't because we're worried about making payroll. Team alignment. Within that hiring, making sure that we're not just hiring for skill sets. So often before, I acquired people rather than hired them. A lot of times I would bring these people in and find that they had the skill set to execute the desired work. But as it is, teams are built up of groups of people that have to work together. And when they don't work together well, and they don't participate in the culture fit of your company and believing your mission the way you do, this is ultimately going to result in an engine that does not function correctly. It's the wrong part for the engine. It's the right part of the engine, but it's built for a different engine type. You have to have perfect team alignment to ensure that everybody is working together cohesively to ensure your fulfillment is good. When the product is good, it damn near sells itself, and it is very easy to keep and maintain the customers. It's that simple. And the way you get that is through the inspiration of proper team alignment. And this is why my agency, again, we can turn ads off, take no sales calls for weeks on ends, and we still grow because our clients stick, they refer us, they thank us, not just pay us. And it's not magic. It's not a funnel. It's not a secret system. I've laid out the frameworks here. And here's what's inside of EROS if you have additional interest in it. We leverage something called the code. This is built off of the principles from Warrior to create alignment, as it starts from the basis of purpose and truth. When we have clarity on where we are at and where we want to go, and we are committed to staying in alignment with that, not telling ourselves bullshit stories and leveraging false KPIs and stuff to artificially inflate our ego, we get better results. This is a human thing. This is a condition that we have to train ourselves and our teams for to ensure that we have proper alignment, as we talked about before. We use a tool called the Stack. This is inside of the Warrior app. We frequently use this inside of our team. The Stack is a weapon that allows us to download information from team member to team member very quickly. It is a weapon that clears the chaos for both you and your team whenever the problems arise, and allows you to remove obstacles and free yourself from being dependent on someone else to give you solutions. It is by far the best tool or weapon that I've ever come across to allow you to problem solve for the solution that fits you. Not going and asking somebody else, not being dependent on some guru or some magic system or trying to copy somebody else's setup. It is custom tailored to you, and again, is one of the best weapons for that. We do this on a regular basis. I use these within our team whenever we're doing one-to-one meetings to resolve issues inside of performance, to ensure that we're properly communicating with each other, etc. Tremendous weapon. We have impossible games. This is our team planning structure. This is how we map out 12 to 16 months in advance, and how we reverse engineer our quarters or months or weeks and days even to understand exactly what we should be focusing on. This helps direct all of your energy on the things you need to go achieve these goals and do this incredibly quickly. We have the blueprint process. We leverage Kraig as our project management system, and I've created a very simple framework that allows anybody to take and adapt it direct. I've got a lot of typos in this slide deck, but we'll roll with it. Allows you to adapt it specifically to your needs for what services you're offering, for how your team operates, etc. And we give you a framework so you can color inside the lines and take these building blocks and redeploy them over and over and over again. This helps ensure that your fulfillment doesn't fall apart. Sometimes there's processes and things that your team's only going to see once every couple of weeks or once every couple of months, and sometimes once a year. And if you don't have proper systems to ensure that those things are done with consistency inside of your fulfillment is key and crucial. And having each one of these components mapped out as variables that can be easily deployed doesn't take any overcomplicated understanding. As a project manager, if you have even the lowest level of project managers, they can deploy these systems, and it helps ensure that as long as you have the right team members running things, they have the right processes and systems to help them stay reminded of things that need to be completed and achieved to get the desired outcome and results. Even with the best people, we all have physical, mental capacity, bandwidth. And as you take on 50, 100 customers, it becomes a lot to deal with and manage. And so having a proper process for that is amazing. Everybody I've shown our process and system to, they see how things are daisy chained together. They allow for perfect communication inside of the team, so everybody knows where everybody's at. It simplifies the fulfillment process to a point that anybody can do it. And again, it's not, you would copy my system and it's turnkey for you. We teach you how to use a simple framework to build your own SOPs and systems very rapidly and turn those over to your team so you have a system you can rely on to get the desired outcome and results. Enough on that. But again, most people drool whenever they see how this works. And it's been a huge factor to why we've been successful. Again, the consistency inside of the work, consistency to ensure that these things are getting done is how you ensure you get the result. And when you get the results are good, the product almost sells itself. And then we have the general's tent. This is a meeting process and planning process that happens once a week where we review our impossible games. We understand what our ultimate objectives and outcomes are. We map those in accordance with the projects and things we need to focus on throughout the rest of the week. So like a general, not a firefighter, you proceed with confidence and clarity what you and your team need to focus on this week so that you crush your goal in a quarter of the time it typically takes. This allows us to compress almost weeks, if not months of work down into just a handful of days. This allows for leveraged output to ensure that we're maximizing the team that we have to make the maximum amount of returns. Result, you finally get momentum without constant selling. And trust me, that feels a hell of a lot better than bragging about revenue while panicking behind the scenes. I can say that with certainty and facts, having been on both sides of the fence. This is exactly why we created the EROS system. So listen, I'm not here selling hype. I'm not giving you these triangles that you can punch holes in. I don't want you to buy into another triangle-shaped sales trick. I built this because my agency just about fucking killed me. It burned me out, it ruined my relationships, and it put me in a very dark place. This may sound woo-woo, but God told me and put on my heart. I made a video a couple weeks ago that's been out for a minute, and it's been voiced again. God told me that it's time to help others escape from this trap. So if this is you, I am opening up free one-on-one sessions. I take a $50 deposit. There's a link in the description where you can book that call. I take a $50 deposit, and I will return those funds to you at the end of the call, no matter what the result is. Whether we continue to work together or not is immaterial. It's been placed on my heart to get on these calls, have these sessions, help you figure out where you're at, what's bottlenecked you, what is keeping you trapped, and how to resolve that. And to share some of these principles and tools directly as it pertains to your set of problems to hopefully give you some momentum in escaping this and getting to a place that you feel happy and purpose-driven and able to operate from a place of abundance instead of feeling that pressure in your chest that's constantly there in that pit in your stomach where you just can't breathe. On these calls, I'm going to walk you through these systems personally. There's no pitch. There's no catch. I just want to fucking help more people escape this and get away from buying into this bullshit that the people like this JK guy are busy promoting. Because if you're anything like me and you're ready for more than just revenue, you started this for freedom and profit, not just to flash your revenue around and feel trapped and live in a world chaos. You want peace. You want freedom. And you want to actually be proud of what you're building. There's your opportunity. So hit the link in the description, book a call. I'll show you how to build an agency that actually lasts. Again, we've been around 9 years. We have customers that just continue to stay with us month over month, year over year, that trust us with building new companies. I have at least 4 or 5 people in my head that they've actually invested with us in their next company. And it's because of the results that we get. And it's through these methodologies. And the ones that have stayed with us, that's been through and been the through line of how EROS came about. I went back and looked across everything that had worked and why those people were still with me. And I found the through line on who they were and why they were the best customer to work with for us. I went back and figured out what services and products we were offering them and what we had the right systems and processes to build consistency within. I went back and looked at how we communicated with these customers. And this is everything that went into building the EROS system that I want to share with you. So with that said, thanks for joining this special edition or episode of Ditching the Illuminati Triangle Sales System and trying to sell your way into chaos and bullshit and having an open mind to a different way of growing your company to $100,000. Let's stop talking about $100,000 profit months with happy teams. Let's start talking about $100,000 profit months instead of revenue months with happy teams and clients, not $100,000 in revenue just to pretend we are successful and take a screenshot that we can post on the internet to be temporarily internet famous, but at what cost? Again, God put on my heart to make this offer to you. If you're listening to this or you're watching this on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe. Send it to someone that you know could use it, that may be struggling and wants some help. Again, I'm offering it for free. I've got 25 calls, 100% free available. God put on my heart and said that it was time for you to have more. And he's put me here in front of you. He sent me. All you have to do is click the link. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will catch you next week for our next episode. Thanks.